Abdallah Ali Hassan, you are given 3 minutes to explain yourself why you have decided to stand for this seat, and then we will ask you 3 questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, my name is Abdullah Mwinyi. I'm a member of the East African Legislative Assembly, and I'm seeking for re-election for my 2nd and final term. Honorable members of Parliament, the details of my curriculum vitae are contained in the leaflets that have been provided. However, in brief, I'm a practicing advocate with over 15 years' experience in the practice of law, as well as in management consultancy. In my term of office as a member of the East African Legislative Assembly, I was a chair of the Legal Rules and Privileges Committee and a member of the House Business Committee, which is equivalent to the Commission in this House. Honorable members of Parliament, the East African community as it stands today is a fully fledged customs territory. The next stage for the community is the common market, which is being implemented at this point in time. The Common Market Protocol grants the citizens of East Africa fundamental rights and freedom: free movement of persons, free movement of labor, free movement of capital, right of establishment, and a right of non-discrimination. These rights and freedoms will affect our way of life in a profound way. So this is a very critical stage of the integration process, and I urge you to elect effective representatives at the East African Legislative Assembly.
Yes, sir.
Honorable members of Parliament, the person you see before you is an effective parliamentarian. Honorable members of Parliament, I urge you once more to vote for Abdullah Mwinyi, and my vote represents effectiveness, delivery, and above all, institutional memory. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. First question, Mr. Lugola, Kangi Lugola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. EAC have already achieved some of the stages of integration, like common market and the customs union. But still, partner states, when it comes to the issues of trade, are still negotiating as countries. What is the problem of not negotiating as a bloc, EAC? Thank you.
Mr. Mwinyi, can you answer that?
Thank you very much, Honorable Lugola, for a very pertinent question. During my term of office at the East African Legislative Assembly, there was a piece of legislation called the Joint Trade Negotiation Act that was enacted. And this piece of legislation obligates partner states to negotiate, as far as trade is concerned, as a group. Unfortunately, each time that the deadline, there was a 2-year gap for the implementation of this piece of legislation. But each time, the time in which the gap comes into effect, it is extended. So I believe the partner states themselves still feel are not as committed to negotiate as a bloc, but I'm in support. I think it is the only way to negotiate with strength as a group in the East African community. Thank you.
Second question, the Deputy Minister for East African Legislative Assembly.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker. Honorable Abdullah Mwinyi, currently East African community is undergoing the 2nd phase of economic partnership agreement and negotiation. Will you please tell this august assembly what are your opinions and what should be the Tanzanian stance in that negotiation? Thank you.
Mr. Mwinyi, can you answer that?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Again, it's a very, very critical issue, economic partnership agreements. Fundamentally, economic partnership agreements are agreements between the European Union and the East African Community in order to facilitate or to enable trade between the two bodies. Unfortunately, the essence of the agreements is to, in my opinion, to create a market of the European Union at the East African Community. As they stand, as they are, the agreements as they are today will weaken the community, will weaken our industrial base. The very essence of them is to provide free access of raw material by the European Union into East African Community. So unless the current state of the position changes, I'm not in agreement, and I support the stance that is currently in place within the East African Community to renegotiate the agreements. I thank you.
Thank you. Then the last question, Honorable Msigwa. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'll call later.
As a country, we have a slight disadvantage of export capability relative to other East African partner, especially Kenya. What will you do to make sure we, as Tanzania, we are well positioned to reap maximum benefit from the EAC Federation?
Mr. Mwinyi, can you answer that?
Thank you very much. First, I disagree that we are at a disadvantage vis-a-vis Kenya. In every aspect, they're equals, if not better. That is my position. In reference to the industrial base, statistics show that we have a positive balance of trade vis-a-vis Kenya. That has been the case for the last 5 years. And what is even more interesting in those statistics, what it shows is that the collective economies of all the partner states has grown more than double in the last 5 years for each partner state. So there's a win-win situation in all aspects. Kenya, I do not see the Republic of Kenya in any way being a threat to Tanzania. I see it as a viable partner. The second highest investor in Tanzania currently is the Republic of Kenya. So what I find, we don't have an inferiority complex. This is more imagined up here than in reality. We can compete effectively, and you're very well represented at the East African Legislative Assembly.
That was your the last question. Now I give you an opportunity to ask for votes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I urge you all to vote me back and to enable me to finish my work that I started 5 years ago, and to keep in mind institutional memory is critical. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Then we'll have to call the next candidates.
Torosep 2 Mohammed.
Sasa inaonekana hii ni dalili ya kuchoka. Naona hii ni dalili ya kuchoka. Can we have the next candidate?
Mohammed.
The next candidate, Mr. Nasoro.
To Mohamed Nasoro ni, lakini vile vile huyu ni mbunge kwa sasa katika bunge la Afrika Mashariki, kama alivyokuwa aliyetoka sasa hivi anakuja kuomba.
Mheshimiwa Mwinyi, tunakupa dakika chini ya 3.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Awali ya yote, Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kumshukuru Jalali, muumba wa mbingu na ardhi, kwa kutujalia afya njema na kujalia uchaguzi wetu kwenda kwa salama na amani. Hatuna budi kufanya hivyo, kwani tunapata baraka zisizohesabika kutoka kwake. Pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kuwashukuru wazazi wangu, wazee wangu, mama yangu Mama Siti Abdallah Ali na baba yangu Mzee Ali Hassan Mwinyi. Hakuna jinsi mtoto anaweza kumshukuru au kuwashukuru wazazi, lakini ningependa kumshukuru mama yangu kwa malezi bora na kwa kutufunza tabia njema. Nasema asante sana. Pili, ningependa kumshukuru mzee Ali Hassan Mwinyi, baba yangu, kwa kutupaka mavumba ya uongozi na kwa kutufundisha kwa maneno na vitendo kwa uongozi ni utumishi, ni uadilifu na uwajibikaji. Sina jinsi ya kumshukuru mzee wangu isipokuwa kuwa mtumishi, mwadilifu na kuwajibika kwenu nyinyi. Naahidi mbele ya bunge lako tukufu kwa nitakuwa hayo. Tatu, Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kumshukuru kakaangu mwenzenu Dr. Hussein Mwinyi ningesema sifa zake zote, naona ningechukua muda wote wa wagombea wote. Isipokuwa Dr. Hussein, napenda kukushukuru mbele ya hadhara hii kwa msaada wako wote na kwa mafunzo yote ulionipa. Asante sana. Mwisho kabisa, last but not least, ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kuwashukuru wote waheshimiwa wabunge. Mmenipa heshima kubwa sana. Mmenipa kura lukuki kunirudisha. Ni peke yangu katika timu iliyopita nipo hapa mbele yenu. Sina la ziada isipokuwa kukushtakieni kila la kheri, baraka na fanaka katika ujenzi wa taifa. Asanteni sana.
Asante. Anayefuata.
Yahya Mariam